Hey, it's Clay at claytrader.com, and I want to look at some real-life day trading results where this person, this member of my community, made $23,000 in only 1 month. And there's some really core lessons that, after reading the email that was sent, I thought, this is worthwhile to do an email about. And on that note, because this is from a member, there's no theory here. This was somebody that truly did make $23,000 in 1 month. And I'll provide a way to get more details if you want in terms of proof and all that, because I get lots of sketchy stuff out there. And if I'm ever going to talk about something like this publicly, I always require a little bit more context, proof. And this person, Jose, sent it over in a very documented format. So like I said, I'll tell you a way you can get to that if you're interested. But if you just trust that this actually happened, then in my mind, there are really 3 great lessons that can be taken away from all of this. And again, I'm not talking in theory here. This is all fact. This is all real life day trading. It actually happened. So let's keep on moving. So here were their results. And the key dynamic here is that there's 11 pages of this. So this is only page 1 of 11. But as I was just saying, I wanted more context and proof. And Jose sent me over his TD Ameritrade statements for the month, all 11 pages. Now, I'm not going to go through all 11 pages. All I'll say is that if you go to my site where the video is hosted, there'll be a little area down below the video, and you can click on that, and it'll bring up all 11 pages so that if you want to, you can go by trade and see everything. But the point here is that this truly did happen. No theory, real life results, and if you need more proof, I'm not offended at all. I get it. The internet can be a sketchy place. So you can go there and get all that to your heart's desire. Now, let's focus on the results here. And maybe you've heard this, the stock market is gambling. That's just, and this isn't really a lesson. I suppose this is a side lesson, but I've talked about this many times before because it is a pet peeve of mine. So I probably talk about it way more than it needs to be. But regardless, maybe you don't necessarily believe this, but maybe you've heard somebody say it. You've had somebody else imply, oh, that's very risky. Oh, yeah, that's basically like a casino. Oh, you might as well go to Las Vegas. Well, here were Jose's results. And right there, you can see $23,029 in 1 month. And looking at all those red dots compared to the green dots, well, that was an 85% win rate. If the stock market was actually gambling, if that's what it was, then casinos would be out of business so fast if customers were able to walk in there and on a consistent basis, maybe not necessarily do 85% all the time, but do, well above 60%. I mean, a casino is out of business. So like I said, if the market was actually gambling, these sort of results, they just simply would not happen. And I'm talking about from a very mathematical and statistical format. Yeah, you have outliers. Sure, you can get lucky and win. Sure, you can get lucky and maybe have 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 green days in a row. But I mean, only 3 losing days out of all those. Another dynamic is the first losing day was just $75. So yes, that was a losing day, but I mean, when you're making thousands of dollars other days, 75, I mean, you might as well just call that a break-even day. Point being, the stock market is not gambling, and here we have an 85% win rate, which shows it. So the first lesson, I realize you could argue, Clay, you just gave us a lesson. So this is lesson, fine, you're right, but let's just cut me a little slack here, all right? So lesson number 1, a pretty nice 6.94% yield for a job that takes me around 0.5 to 3 hours a day. So he's working right around 30 minutes to 3 hours a day, and he got a 6.9% return on his money. Now remember, that's just 1 month. So you take that and you multiply it by 12. If that's his average, meaning, some months, of course, it's going to be lower than that, but other months, I mean, it could be higher than that. But I mean, can you imagine 6.9% multiplied by 12? I mean, that would be his yield over the year. That's some really good money. Let's say that his average is just 4% yield on his money per month. That's still 48% return on his money per year. And he's well above 4% right now. But the key dynamic there is 30 minutes to 3 hours a day. That's how much time he's putting into, generated over $23,000. But here's the other dynamic here in the lesson. I have been and continue to be a professional consultant. Meaning, lesson 1, you can be a trader even if you have a full-time job. There's a big misconception out there that seems to, basically revolve around the idea that, well, if you want to be a trader, I got to quit my job. No, that's not true at all. In fact, I would say, please keep your job while you learn how to trade. Please keep your job while you're, going through your journey of trading, because really at the end of the day, it is multiple streams of income. This is why I always tell people, hey, why? I mean, I get it, and there's nothing wrong with the goal of wanting to quit your job to be a full-time trader. But I also say, but there's no need to rush it, because as of now, while you're learning to be a trader and while you are trading and you have a full-time job, that's just multiple streams of income. That's fantastic. That's how wealth is really built. Streams of income from several different sources. So, but if you are somebody that's made, well, I can't really do that because I don't have enough time. I have a full-time job, and I can see where you're coming from. But that's also where this false misconception comes out there that you somehow need to just, hey, I got to quit my job if I want to be a trader. No, that's not true at all. There are so many different avenues in the market that will allow you to be a trader and make money that by no means is it required that you have to quit your full-time job or anything like that. So lesson number 2 actually has 2 lessons. Here are the results, and the big lesson is that right there. I kind of already talked about this a little bit, but the core lesson, really, and you need to hold on to this and always remember it, perfection is not a requirement for success. It's never fun to lose money. It's never fun to be wrong. But you know what? You don't need to be perfect. There is no expectation that you need to be perfect as a trader. In fact, the true expectation is you better understand that you're not going to be perfect. If you show up in this business thinking that you're going to be perfect, or that's what it takes to be perfect and that you'll never be wrong, you're going to be sorely, sorely disappointed, and you're not setting yourself off with very realistic expectations. So again, perfection, not a requirement for success. And then the second lesson is a strategy should be focused not on winning. I know that sounds bizarre, but I'm going to say it again. A strategy should be focused not on winning, but rather on knowing when to admit you are wrong and take the loss. And that's the key part. What do I mean about when to admit you are wrong? If your account all of a sudden shows that you're losing $50, does that mean you should move out? I don't know, maybe. Or does that mean you should give it some more wiggle room? Does that mean you're wrong if your account goes red all of a sudden? No, not necessarily. I mean, you can't not nail the perfect entry all the time. You have to give things wiggle room. But there also comes to the point where, okay, you need to admit you're wrong. You need to take the loss. Now, when is it okay for your account to flash red? And when is it no longer okay? And when you need to wave the white flag and say, I'm done? Well, hey, that's why you need to have a strategy. Because just because something goes red, or just because something maybe drops some sort of random percent against you, doesn't mean you're wrong. Maybe it just means that, well, stocks are volatile and sometimes you got to give things a little wiggle room to breathe. Now, that's very gray area, but welcome to the challenging environment known as day trading. But at the core, you're not going to be perfect, and you need to know how to manage risk. And all managing risk is knowing when to admit you are wrong and take the loss. Risk management. Anybody can win, right? I mean, you could literally drink a bunch of alcohol, spin yourself in circles, get extra dizzy, put on a blindfold, press some buttons, and you could walk away with a winning day. So winning doesn't matter. Anybody can win. But how are you doing in the risk management department? Do you know when to admit that you're wrong, and can you take the loss? That's what's going to keep you in the game long term. And Jose, as you see here, doing a fantastic job of that. I mean, like I said earlier, his first loss, $75. It's basically comical when you look at, what his wins were. $675 was in. Again, practically comical. Now, on January 9th, there we had 187. I'm guessing he had several losing trades that day, but he still managed to be green. And then the $2,000 losing day, bigger, sure, but I mean, when you have the next day at 3,900 and other days, well over 1,000, not a big deal. Point being, he clearly knows when to admit he's wrong and then just take the loss, and that is key. It's all about risk management. And then lesson number 3, you got to remember randomness and bad information are included in being free. There's no doubt about it that even if you were to invest into a course, there's a lot of bad stuff out there. There's a lot of really poorly constructed courses. So this is not me ragging on being free. I'm just saying you have to be very careful in the sense of, well, there's a lot of garbage out there. I'm not going to risk paying for that when everything's free. And that's true. But there is still randomness and bad information in the world of being free too. I mean, so there's definitely it's you can't totally isolate yourself. And the idea here is that when you are using not necessarily free information, but more definitely free, I mean, that is basically the casino. I mean, randomness and bad information is gambling. How so? Well, when you're brand new and you don't know what you don't know, and then you're out there taking information that could be bad, but you don't know if it's bad because, well, you're just brand new, which is fine, and then you're using that information to try to make decisions. I mean, that is just strictly gambling, and I get it, hear it all the time. I would never, ever invest in anything because it's all on the internet for free, and that's fine. All I would say is remember, what are the failure rates? 90 to 95%, and if trading were as easy as what as easy as just using free information, well, then you know what? I think failure rates wouldn't be so high. So just keep that in mind. But that is why, because it's randomness. And even if you were to pick out all the bits of good information, I mean, you still have to watch that information in a logical order, because if you start learning about things in order that it shouldn't be learned about, then you're just going to confuse yourself, even if it is good information. So to point this out, he says, but I am now a trader, and this thanks to you, because like I said at the beginning, this is a member of my training program. I want you to know that your courses, your live training sessions, and your newsletters are of immense value because they have the power to impact the lives of those who have an objective and are willing to work hard to reach it. And that would be almost a sub lesson here. Work hard to reach it. You got to work hard. I would argue it's better to work smarter and not harder. And this isn't a sales pitch for my course. Now, of course, I would love if you decided to invest in the training program that I offer. But the point here is, if you are looking at somebody else's program or somebody else's training, then go for it. Realize cost versus investment. When you are investing into something, you get something in return. When you invest into a program, you are getting knowledge, and that knowledge can generate you money. In this case, Jose, literally $23,000 in 1 month. Now, if you look at it as a cost, though, a cost is more so something where, I buy a candy bar, it's a cost, and I don't really get anything in return. Sure, I get short-term return, but in an investment. So I want you to approach, your decision on, I don't know, do I want to invest into that course? Do I invest into that program? Again, I'm not necessarily talking about mine. I'm talking about anybody's out there. If you feel more comfortable with them, that's fine. Go with them. I want you to do what you feel most comfortable with. But please don't let fall yourself down the rabbit hole that I see all the time. And then it's not shocking why failure rates remain as high as they do when people are throwing themselves in the sea of randomness, bad information, and things can get out of control really quickly. And what I've noticed is Jose is another example, and he's very modest, but he's a very successful person. He's actually down in South America, which just, I guess, the power of the internet. It's craziness to think that I've had students and members, and I consider Jose a friend. He's been around a long time now, but that are all over the world. But the point of being is, I know Jose very successful in his quote unquote real life, and I've had many other very successful people, and all these people are like, yeah, I understand time efficiency. I understand that time is very, very valuable. I don't want to have to deal with going through the hassle of randomness and getting bad information. So here, I'm making an investment into my education. I'm making an investment into myself. And I've always noticed that really successful people that are prior to trading, they just get that mentality. And that is why, before I got into real estate investing, I went and dropped just shy of $5,000. So just something to keep in mind. Don't, have a wealth building mindset. And a wealth building mindset looks at things as a cost versus an investment. Is this costing me, or is this an investment that's actually going to give me something more in return? And like I said, more in return for Jose, $23,000 in 1 month. And he's been doing very well for a while now. But again, hard work also. None of this happens overnight. So if you enjoyed this video, and if you would like for me to keep making more videos like this using other members' results, then hit that like button, leave me a comment down below. I'm always curious how people view these, because I can sit here and talk about my results, but there does reach a point where it's, okay, Clay, but what can you do for me? Which sounds kind of bad on the surface, me, but it's actually very wise, because, if it can't benefit you, if there's no value to you, then what do you really care what I'm doing, right? So if that kind of is something that would make sense to you if you want to see more people's results. Because again, it's kind of one of those things. Yeah, Clay, that's great. I don't care about your results though, because who cares? What does it do for me though? Are you able to help others? Are you able to extend that to other people where they can get results? Because I'm not you. I care about me. So is there any value in me? Is this actually possible for me? So if you enjoy this and if you want to see more of videos like this where it's other people and not myself, like I said, hit that like button, leave a comment down below, and also check out the channel. Hopefully you decide to subscribe. If you are interested in learning about some of the services I offer, I do offer a community too that Jose is active in. So I mean, you could literally go and start to interact with Jose if you wanted to. claytrader.com/team is where you can find my community. But those are the 3 lessons I would say to walk away. You can be a trader even if it's a full-time job. Risk management, very, very important. And you know what? Cost versus investment. Just keep that in mind when it comes to your education and when it comes to learning about this place we call the markets, the financial markets and day trading and all of that. So thank you for hanging out. Take care, and let me know also in the comment section what was the biggest lesson that maybe you didn't realize. And I'm always curious to hear how people are learning from these videos. So take care, everybody, and I'll see you back for the next video. First off, thanks so much for watching the entire video. Real quick, before you go, I want to invite you to a live webinar, web class, training, workshop, online event, whatever you want to call it, but it will be me live revealing to you what I've discovered that has allowed me to transform myself from being an employee to being my own boss, including how I had only 1 losing day out of 73 days in total. I'm going to cover 3 keys that have helped me unlock profitable consistency within the markets. The first key is super weird, but in a productive type of way. The second key is super awesome because it quite literally is wired into our DNA as humans, making it very easy to use. But in a cruel way, this becomes a pitfall for many traders. I'll explain it all though, including how to avoid the pitfall that it creates for some. And yeah, the third key, when you hear it, sounds way too good to be true, but it's not, and I'll show you how it all works. Then at the end, I open it up for a question and answer session that is, again, totally live. Even if you can't make the live session, please still sign up as it will be recorded, and you can go back and watch the replay that I will send you. Click the image on the screen or click the link down in the description box so you can get the date and time and claim your spot, which I should note is limited due to the fact that this truly is a live event. If you have any questions, let me know. If not, I'll be seeing you soon.